I once ran to catch a bus, so I feel very qualified to give this opinion. Now, I absolutely believe in equal opportunities in the sports world, which is why
He's gonna say it, isn't he?
I do not believe that trans women should be competing in women's sports. Now, hear me out. Pose this question. How many stories have you heard of trans men taking home the gold in men's sports? None.
Send in the SWAT teams! You got it, Jimmy. This man has committed the elementary mistake that Sun Tzu would call running inside a burning house. And worse, he did it for free. And we all know what happens. You run inside a burning house, you end up part of the fire. Now I'm pretty sure that this guy just showed is an okay person. I don't really see anything wrong with him. But what I wanted to make was a hyperbolic point that men have a lot to lose and very little to gain from entering this ménage à trois of a topic. Now, I personally think that medical science isn't advanced enough to change your biological sex now, but that's another story. What I'm here to say is that, gentlemen, the topic of transgenderism is a very spiky one. And the observant man will notice that the biggest factions of the debate comprise 2 or 3 arms of the same Leviathan, which is gynocentrism. Look at these clips and tell me what you think.
By what metric do we decide where a line should be drawn? The natural end result of this is saying, fuck it, there's no metrics, there's no sex classes, there's no weight or height classes, all genetic abnormalities are allowed, it will just be a free-for-all. And fine, fair enough, you can do that, but that means that cis males will win every single sporting competition ever. In other words, when TERFs say something like they want to take away women's spaces, in this instance, if we followed the logic to its natural conclusion, the TERFs would actually be correct. We would be taking away that biologically female, the cis woman sporting space. And in many instances,
aren't even supporting women anymore. They're supporting other causes, and they're throwing society, men, women, minorities.
Well, for decades, America has been a world leader in providing athletic opportunities to women and girls on the same footing as boys. But now opportunities for women are being shoved aside for a new priority.
All right, let's get it. Right off the bat, we have some incredibly low IQ argument from intuition, okay? I'm pretty sure that whether we're talking men's or women's sports, I can find plenty of track and field relays, plenty of sprints, plenty of weightlifting competitions, plenty of volleyball jousts where one person is larger, stronger, and faster than the others. This is a non-argument.
Anybody who believes that transgenderism is somehow opposing the interests of feminism or women as a whole, as opposed to part of them maybe, is deluding themselves. You can't disregard the whims of women in the modern world, and none of the 3 mainstream sides of the debate, that is, conservatives, right femmes, and transgender rights activists, do so unless they're suicidal. Which also means that, as a man, you come second place at best. Which is why you've seen the men in all 4 of these clips resort to defending women or defending some other group in order to push their views. And in some cases, they chuck in some inchoate reference to minorities as well. Racial, religious, cultural, or sexual, you decide. I mean, why is Joker of Better Bachelor butting into this topic to claim feminism harms when, as he says, men are going their own way in droves and women never gave a shit about him? Hell if I know either. Now, if you ever disagreed with a woman, especially if it's because of standing up for yourself, you've been labeled the I word, or at least a misogynist. The gender criticals, also known as radical feminists, hate most men. That much has never been up for doubt. And that's the real reason, not science or whatever the hell they say it is, that they don't like transgenderism. They see themselves as having their spaces threatened by men. It's more than what it is their privileges are being threatened. Abused men, better take note, you don't get to have shelters and these women ain't sharing. The tradcons tend to be men who have to kowtow to the wishes of their wives, who may in fact be radical feminists themselves, and they want to be good servants by shaming those who step out of line and don't follow their script. Like, for example, wearing makeup, more obviously here transitioning. The transgender community is of course no exception to this mindset. So in order to gain respect from your peers in there, you need to signal that you're ambivalent at best towards men, and that you hate them at worst. A lot of non-binary people are women who want to transition but don't want to become men because they say the famous feminist phrase, men are trash. And that even goes for FTM trans. They also think that men are trash. And they say it. Hey, 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 I'm not one of the bad men. I'm a cute and pure trans man. Here you can see them performing the usual dance of pretending that it's about safety. And here we see this user complain that his friend, his lesbian friend of course, ditched him completely after he decided to be more masculine. And even when they want to reject this caricatural view of men, they still fall back on feminist mythology to describe men, such as the trope of not having been oppressed as much as women, which is of course used to justify awful behavior on the part of feminists. Here's another example. Do you know how people would take it if somebody said on hating women and becoming one anyway? Do you think that this person who wrote that article wouldn't be called an incel? I wanted to become a man my whole life, and also remember, I hate all of you and I identify with women. You get an A+ for nuance, Noah. Better yet, keep practicing doublespeak on your speak, right? You'll soon be a double+ good comrade for Inksock. The only way this asshole can describe manhood is as a set of privileges, and he keeps referring to class mobility to make it sound like it has something to do with Marxism. And of course he describes maleness as an accusation, which is supposed to mean that, being male is bad. Look how he even says that not all men is something wrong to say in the second paragraph. A strong sense of solidarity and with women and womanhood as the social class had been assigned. Huh. Sounds like, you're a noble and you don't want to roll in the dirt with the peasants. Here's somebody saying that saying men are trash isn't as bad as saying women are trash because clearly you haven't read enough about feminism. I honestly doubt the person who said this has ever touched a damn book of feminist theory in their life, but then again it's not like anybody can tell the difference when those books are full of nonsense. I never thought I'd say this, but I think mysterious Mr. Enter could write better feminist theory than this. Every trans rights advocate I've ever had a discussion about transgenderism with went apeshit and wanted to turn it into a game of character assassination and add homonyms was a woman and not a transgender one either. This should clue you in on what you're risking, even on a professional level, when you can risk getting fired by a social media opportunist for saying something they don't like, regardless of your intentions, the context, and what it actually means. City Crusher has a more in-depth video on this particular man. And who's left, of course? Tradcons. Tradcons use the same argument as gender-critical feminists to defend their points of view, which of course means that they resort to gynocentrism and misandry to do so. What does this mean? Well, I think men shouldn't enter in women's bathrooms because they might rape people. They might be rapists. They're evil. So what does this all mean? It means that regardless of your opinion on transgender issues, you really shouldn't participate in the main debate. Maybe with a close friend or maybe somebody you trust, but not in the public sphere. Because all these people do is they just accuse each other of being rapists or of being transphobic or whatever, and you get into crossfire, you're gonna lose something. And what do you get for it? Not much, really. And what it comes down to, just like the main abortion debate, is that it's an argument between women, among women. You're not involved. You're just a pawn for whoever wants to use you as a mouthpiece for their agenda. You're not gonna be representing yourself and your best interests, no matter what you side with. And if any significant changes happen in this domain, well, it's gonna be something that ends with women most affected. This has been my second video. Young man, old man, checking out, and goodbye.